Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to grecochess, the YouTube channel of chess. We continue facing the chess.com bots. If you've seen the previous videos, we've been able to advance through all the beginner and intermediate bots and 12 out of the 20 advanced bots. And now it's time for bot number 13. And let's share the screen with you. And here we are. The advanced bots. The first 12 that have ratings starting from 1500 until 1800. We've been able to defeat each one of them twice, once with white and once with black, although we suffered a lot of defeats in the middle. But now it's time for bot number 13, who is Miguel for Brazil. We defeated Miguel with the white pieces, in fact, on the first attempt. And now it's time to face Miguel when I'm having the black and Miguel has the white. Let's see how can we do. Miguel is rated 1900, and compare this. My own rating is United States Chess Federation 1706. In chess.com, I have a rapid of 1803 at this point, about 1800, and blitz at 1800, a bullet at 1500, and let's see how can we do against these bots that seem to be higher rated than me, but in reality they rarely play that good. But let's hit the play button for Miguel to start. And Miguel starts with a pawn. Miguel says what he said last time. Hola, what's your weakness? Mine is none. And I place my pawn to e6, the French. Not it's any better, but I know it a little bit better. Pawn to d4, surprise, surprise. That's the second move when black replies the French, and my pawn to d5. Turn it away, opening. Theory, book moves. Knight to c3 and knight to f6. Control of the center. Now, what Miguel is trying to do is what we are trying to do, both of us, control the center. Now, he's pinning my knight at f6. If I try to attack the knight, I may end up losing a pawn if I put my bishop to e7. That's why I'll take the initiative, and I'm first going to take the pawn on e4. Miguel most likely would take his knight, yes, and I place my bishop on e7. We'll change here. If he wants to exchange, my queen is out on f6. Nope, that's not in his plans. What should I do? Let's castle. My knight goes to c6, attacking the pawn on d4, but Miguel will save it. Let's put the pawn on h6. I don't want anything landing on g5. My rook to e8. Knight goes back to d2. Question is why? Can I push my pawn? Yes, if I push my pawn to e5, attack the pawn on d4, and if he takes it, yes, I might be ahead. Let's see. But what if he places to d5? Take the pawn on d4. Take back with my queen. Wait a minute, what happened? And that's it. First game, Miguel. I had the black pieces. In 14 moves, checkmate. I was caught off guard. Lesson to learn, opening. Yeah. I have to play again. Unfortunately, while with white pieces, I won the first time. With black, I started with a defeat. Let's do the second time. Now, what do we do now? We want to play a rematch. Let's hope the second time I'll play better, because this was a disaster. And let's hope I learned my lesson. Start the same way. Let's put pawn on h6. Let's start differently this time. Attacking my queen. Where can my queen go? If it goes to g5, it's a very tempting square. Knight goes to f3, and my queen has to go back. Let's place my queen back to d8. I think better for my queen not to start adventures. Bishop to b4, pin the knight on c3. Keep the pin. Attack the pawn on d4. Knight protects it. Let's place my knight on c6. Attack the pawn on d4 again. Rook protects it. Let's castle now. Save my knight and send it where? If I send it to h5, the problem is the moment, I mean, for the time being, the c4 square is safe, but the moment that the knight on e2 moves, my knight will be under attack. My knight goes to f5, attacking the pawn on d4. Pawn goes here. Not a good idea to send the pawn that early. Can I attack the queen? Knight goes to g6. I win a pawn. Let's see. If queen goes to h4, I think I'm winning a pawn, and then I want to exchange queens. Oh! Time to resign. I'm not in a good shape. I wasted my queen. Time to resign. Try a third time. I can't believe I lost that easily. Rematch, third time. Not my day today. It happens in chess. Some days are your days, some days are not your days. Lost twice with Miguel and very easily. Okay, the second time I wasn't checkmate. Let's start the same way again with the French. I'll do another defense. If this also loses the game for me, till now, beginnings are identical. Let's send the pawn to c5 to attack d4. And now the knight to c6, attack d4 again. Queen to b6, attacks both d4 and b2. Take the pawn. Attack the knight. Now, what should I do? If I win the queen, if I take the queen, bishop takes back. Anything else I can do? I cannot see anywhere else safe. Oh, I can put back to e7, but I don't want to do it. Unpin my knight. Attack the knight. The other knight on a4, the white knight. How are we doing? Material-wise, at least now we're the same. We reached 15 moves. Good. We passed the problems with last time. Let's. Oh no, I cannot attack the rook because the bishop will. Because the knight will take my bishop. Unfortunately, I saw it this time. Let's develop the knight to e7 and ready to castle either way. Now I can attack the rook because the knight is not here any longer. Can I take the pawn on f2? Nope. But I can pin the knight on c3. If I take it, I weaken the king. Yes. Pawn will take it back, most likely. Yes. Rook goes to c8. Ready to attack the pawn on c3 if I'm allowed. Let's castle kingside. At least this game is going longer. It's not like the previous ones that it was a disaster, to put it mildly. Can we double the rooks on the c file? Let's do it and see what happens. If the rook on d3 disappears, can I start pushing the pawns, or what else can I do? If I send my rook on c4, ready for perhaps, or the a, attack the a2 pawn. Nope. Pin the knight. Can we attack the pawn on a4? We have to be very careful. First of all, let's stop the pawn from advance. But my rook has no square to go. Have to be careful with that. Can we exchange rooks? The question is why? What do we gain by that? I don't want my bishop to be unprotected on d7 and depending only on one pawn. I want to win some space by by exchanging the rooks. He must take the pawn, otherwise he loses this pawn here. If we exchange, if I take the knight, I can win at least a pawn. Shaku. I got a pawn. Can I win a second pawn? Of course, I'm going to lose one pawn here. Not a good idea to lose this because the a pawn becomes a very dangerous pawn. If we exchange rooks, the pawn promotes. Attack the pawn on h3 and also place my rook on a3. Win the h3 pawn, and now I only have to worry about the a pawn. If I take the a pawn, I'm winning. But the a pawn is 3 squares from promoting and nobody is going to stop it. Or my rook could stop it. Let's start check if these checks can help me. I doubt. My rook is behind the a pawn. Can that help? Let's start pushing the other pawns. Let's put the g pawn if anything can help there. No, it's not ready. Don't want to lose it. I have fgh pawns to push. But he has A and C pawns. I'm ready to promote the H pawn. He loses his rook. I'm promoting. Let me try to stop the pawn, the A pawn. Let's win the A. If I win the A pawn, what's going to happen is he's going to promote his own pawn. But yes, I cannot afford him to have two queens. I'll have one queen and a rook. He'll have a queen. And he will my queen. I don't think so. I have to be careful. If I put my queen, for example, on h6, no, he cannot have a skewer. But then if I check it, no. I have to be careful how to stop this thing. Let's block the check. Now let me start checking and hope I can win the queen, or at least exchange. If we exchange the queens, that's all I need. Check from c1. It seems I am better, clearly. Unfortunately, I cannot use my queen for ladder mate, for the reason being that my rook is pinned. Let's see how many checks I can do. Here we are. We're going to exchange queens. I'm going to check from e5. And even if he takes my pawn, I have a rook plus pawn. Yes, I'm winning now. My rook is blocking the king, so the king cannot stop my pawn. My king is constrained between A and E files, and my pawn is on the G file. Make sure no stalemate. Yes, I'm winning. Third attempt, third time is the charm, as they like to say. And now ladder mate. Constrain the king on the ABC, on the A and B files. On the A file, and it's mate next move. Yes, I needed 3 attempts to defeat Miguel with the black pieces. It is over, but painful, painful lesson. I lost the first 2 games, and let's do the reviews. Play game history against the bots. And let's see here what happened. The very first one, I lost in 14 moves. So easy to lose in so few moves, but to win is so difficult. Let's see what it says. I played as if my rating was 1400 and Miguel 2200. He played above his, I played below mine. I had, you see, he had the great move and I had the blunder. All right, we both made mistakes. Let's go move by move. These 14 moves. 7 moves, we are going 7 out of 14. We go book, and now we start deviating. Not his best. Bishop to d3 instead of c4. Ooh, the pawn was free. The pawn was free. I didn't see it because it was attacked twice by the bishop and the queen and defended only by the knight. And this bishop here had no check. Sometimes it's a catch if you take it and then the bishop suddenly checks you. And all this because of the knight on e4. So I missed a chance. We both play very weakly. 10 moves pass, and Miguel's ahead by 144. Both of us have a lot of errors and misses. Another miss. I played the best. I'm down only 0.32 after 11 moves. I'm ahead by 0.52 after the 12. Not the best. This is a great. And this is a blunder. I didn't see the mating one. I should have taken it with my pawn. And then I will be down only by 0.89. But I didn't like my king to be exposed. Instead of the king exposed, I got checkmated. Wonderful. Let's see. The second one. How did I lose it? The second was clear blindness. I only hope it happens here on my chess.com game with bots, and it doesn't happen on my rated games. 81% Miguel, 77.1. 7 for me, and here he played as if his rating was 2050. I played as it was 1550. I had two great moves, but blunder, and we are going to see what happened in the second move. And the fourth move I played, I changed the fourth move. It is an excellent but not a book move. After 5 moves, Miguel ahead by 0.42. Now I'm ahead by 0.31. I should have pushed the pawn to c5 instead of pinning the knight on c3. Neither side plays good, it seems. And after 10 moves, I'm ahead by 0.43. Great moves is a computer. I'm not sure. Almost the only way to save my knight. Not a good now, but I'm still ahead by 174. Great moves the computer. What should I have done? Uh, not worry about it. And I'm ahead by 0.35 when I blunder my queen. Wonderful. Somehow I missed the rook on h1. And I'm down by 531. And of course I resigned, and there was no reason in playing. Against humans, maybe, I guess the bots, 1900. If it was Martin with 250, I could have played, but not with that. And let's see the winning one. Winning one. How did we do? This shows that no matter what you're rating, you cannot be consistent. Consistency is one thing I really admire at the very top players. Now here, how did you do? 82.6 for me, 78.4 for Miguel. I played as if my rating was 2100 and Miguel's was 1950. No brilliances, 3 for 1, great moves, 4 for 3, book for Miguel. 24-21 best for Miguel, 2016 excellent for me, good 14-11 for me, inaccuracies 11 Miguel, 10 me, mistakes 7 Miguel, 3 me, and 1 misses, and no blunders. And let's see this game. And now again, my move was excellent, but not a book move, not the best. After 5 moves, Miguel ahead by 0.42. More or less the same when we started. But now, instead of bishop to b4 like before, I placed my pawn to c5 as the computer had advised for the previous game. Not the best, should have taken the pawn. Queen to b6, miss. What should I have done? Taking the pawn, but the pawn is going to be lost. I cannot take back with my knight. Queen will take it. Now that I take it, computer doesn't like it. After 10 moves, I'm ahead by 0.91. Computer doesn't like this threat. Computer wants me leave my queen where it is and protect it with my knight. But if bishop goes to d7, yes. If they take it, I take with my knight. My knight is a very strong position. And of course, queen cannot take here because queen can only go back to d3. Great move, of course, I'm pinning my knight. Computer wants me to recapture with the pawn and not the bishop. But I want to attack the knight. Computer wants me to attack the knight. 15 moves have passed. I'm ahead by 1.01. Doesn't like the way I'm playing. My advantage becomes smaller and smaller. After 20 moves, I'm ahead by only 0.13. But look at the white king, it's very exposed. Computer wants me to double the rooks, but the rook instead of c7 to go to c4. And I'm going to a5, trying to attack along the a file. Computer doesn't like it. In fact, now Miguel is ahead, even though by only 0.08. Pinning the knight. He doesn't like the way I'm playing the pawn to a6. Wants to place my rook on c5. He wants me to move the king to f8. This is a very quiet move. 30 moves have passed. I'm ahead by, actually, Miguel is ahead by 0.05. The game is very even. Computer doesn't like me exchange the rooks, but this gives me much more space. Doesn't like my rook going here. Yes, best move. I'm threatening the knight, and after that I'm winning a pawn. And before the next move, I'm ahead by 0.02. Many mistakes, misses from both sides. I'm sure that when the bots become much higher than 1900, they'll play almost flawless games, not like this one. Don't give me these chances. Now I'm ahead by at least a pawn. We start winning each other's pawn. And after 40 moves, I'm ahead by 2 pawns, but the a pawn is extremely dangerous. I'm ahead by 0.26. And now this is very, very dangerous because the a pawn is 3 moves away from promotion. Of course, the rook is blocking it, but if I do nothing, Miguel in 4 moves promotes a queen. What can I do? Try to go behind. They say that when you have passed pawns, whether you have it or you're against it, ideally place your rook behind the passed pawn. That's what I'm trying to do. Easier said than done. The problem is if I go now to a3, he wins my pawn here, protects the pawn, and I miss a chance to win the h pawn. Now the king goes to b2, try to stop me. I try to go below. And after 45 moves, the whole game is played around the a pawn. I have 2 extra pawns. 3 of them are past the fg8, but still in the beginning squares. Miguel has 1 passed pawn, but it's a5 and unprotected, ready to promote. Miguel is ahead by 0.11. But look what's going to happen. If rooks disappear, for any reason we exchange rooks, the a pawn can promote and my king is too far away to stop it. I have mentioned about the square rule. I'm going to show it again. This is the square of the a pawn. If the king is inside the square, the king can stop it. If it's outside the square, my king is way outside the square, the king cannot stop it. So my only hope to stop the pawn is my rook. It has to go behind the pawn, but the king on b2 doesn't allow it. That's why things are very dangerous in spite of me having 2 extra pawns. And my pawns are too far away to promote first. Miguel is going to win my last pawn. Even though the computer says better the king go to b3 because it blocks my rook from going to a4 as it goes behind the pawn. But Miguel also has a c pawn. Now Miguel has 2 passed pawns, a and c. He's only 1 point behind. Let's stop it. I go here to a1. Miguel can easily take a draw if he wants by because I'm going to move my rook back and forth between a1 and a4. He can put his king back and forth between b3 and b2. But he's going for more. And he tries the more with the c pawn. Computer doesn't like it, and the G computer doesn't like it either. Both of us are trying to push past pawns. What else are you going to do? That's what theory says. Computer doesn't like it. Into c3, most likely a wasted move. Yes, better go to b2 and threaten my rook. King to g7. I don't want to push the pawn. Maybe people, maybe it could be post. Let's see. If I go here, what can Miguel do? She cannot go here because of the h6. She can go maybe here. Then my pawn goes here, protects it, and yes, I think I'm slow by one move like that. Not wasted move completely, but when you're in a race where every move counts, you cannot afford to waste these moves. Unless your opponent wastes even more, like here, goes to d4. And look, until here, game was even. Miguel was ahead by 0.02, and now I'm ahead by 162. His pawn should, his king could have gone to b4 to protect the a5 pawn, and not to d4. King to g6. We finished 50 moves, and now I'm ahead by 1.10. Rook checks me. I reply to check with the best possible way. Pawn continues going, and great move. My pawn goes to h5. My h pawn will join the race, will accelerate its tempo. Not the best way. Miguel is trying to use both A and C pawns to suppress. I'm going to h4. I'm only using one of my pawns. h3 now, near promotion. c6 and h2, 55 moves completed. I'm one move away from promotion. And I'm ahead by 7.05. Things start going my way finally. King to b1. Why? Inaccuracy is the least. I'm 9 moves ahead from mate. Of course, I win it 8 moves ahead. I should have promoted immediately. If the pawn on c6 was not here, then I would not even be able to promote. No, what would happen? No, or the other way around. If this pawn was not here, I could easily promote. He cannot promote because my rook is hitting his, but now there is a 6-6 pawn. It is started checks. That's what I want to avoid. That's why I want to win his pawn, but his c pawn is very fast. I win it. He promotes the c pawn. I promote my h pawn. Both of us have promoted, but I have the extra rook. Queen to e8 check, not the best possible. And I block it. And from 8 moves away from 8, now I'm only ahead by 5.00. Miguel might come back if I'm not careful. Let's see. King to c4. Queen to c1 check. King goes here to b5. Queen to e2 check. I want to make my queen near and near the king until at some point either win the queen with the steward or exchange queens or something like that. Queen to c3 check. King to d5. And that was a big mistake because now exchange queens. Now it is over. If he went to, let's see, what would happen if king went to b6? I would check from here and try as much as possible to have a queen exchange. But the options are minimized. What could I do if you went here? I might check from here. If he goes here, I have the steward. If he goes here, I check from here. Yes, I'll try to check from d7 and exchange. But he made my job a little easier by sending his queen to d5. Queen to e5, the best move, because we exchange queens and I don't have to worry any longer. Yes, I lose a pawn, but I have... Computer doesn't want Miguel to take my pawn, but we finished 65 moves. Now I'm ahead by 876. Again, I'm near winning. Not 8 moves made, but mate in 12 now. 12, 8, 9, 7, 11, 6. Of course, I'm playing the safest way. I'm not trying to minimize the mating moves. 6 moves. 6, 6, 3 moves now. 2, 1, and 0. And finally, I'm advancing past Miguel. Lesson, a painful lesson. Be careful in the openings. You can lose when you least expect it. The first I got caught by surprise with this mate in one. The second time I miscalculated and see the rook in h1. I thought I was winning a pawn. And let's go back to see what's happening. We finished with Miguel, although not so easily as I hoped. With white, we won the first time. With black, 2 losses, 1 win. And next one is Xavier from Spain. Let's see what's going to happen with Xavier. But this concludes this video. 13 out of 20 advanced boats. I advanced through them not very easily, had quite a lot of losses. Time for 14, Miguel from Spain. This is the next video. I'm going to face Miguel with white pieces. In the meantime, thanks everybody. Thanks to all the viewers, the shares, the comments and the likes. Hope you can continue watching them. There are lots to learn. We are going to face even worse and worse bots. We'll learn some very painful lessons. Painful for me at least. I hope they are entertaining for you. This is grecochess, the YouTube channel of chess. If you haven't subscribed, you may think of subscribing. I'm your host, Karilaos Eniziris. Thanks everybody and goodbye.